When you have the ability to flip pain into fuel and work on your faith and realize that all those things happen for us. And I truly believe that we're all here for a reason, that there's gift in your pain and there's light in your darkness.
Okay, welcome to another edition of the Journey to Freedom podcast. Hey, just so excited as, and you guys, you hear me say it every single time. And I honestly have to tell you, I really am excited every time I get to do one of these. You know, it just seems like, so Derick, I don't know if you know this, but this year in 2024, I've been interviewing 100 Black men. And so all about being successful and you know, everybody has been successful. There's been some clues and some themes that have come out. One is until yesterday was my first podcast that I said, everybody I know that's been successful, that is doing it well, is willing to serve others and doing the best they can to help others do stuff. Yesterday's podcast, I had a guy come on and he said, no, I care about myself and I want, you know, and he was dead serious. Like, no, I need to be the most selfish person that I possibly can and on the planet. And that's what's going to make me, others want to be around me. That's what's going to make me be able to, make my life outstanding and fantastic is what he said. So that was that kind of threw me through a loop. But I still 100% believe that folks that are willing to serve others are the people who win the most in this life that we have. And so, and you are one of those. And so when you think about, success does leave clues. When we think about Black men, that's one of the, I'm also doing a Sunday now. We're doing we're going to go live this Sunday. And we're really talking about women and men and relationships and how it all works out. And we started out last week. We did a recorded show. Super interesting when you think that, and this statistic that I didn't know that of Black women who are over 40, 50% of them have never been married. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, God has put us into relationships and that kind of stuff. You know, I believe God made us for a relationship. And when you think of 1950 or 1960 of women, Black women over 40, only 20% were not married. So this gap is widening. And part of it is, we're trying to figure out what are the reasons why. Is it that they just don't want to be, or they're, someone said, well, there's not a big enough pool, or there's just not. But some of the things that you do and some of the things that you help people out with, I think can help in this arena, in this world, and figuring out. I know, with the things like mass incarceration and the welfare stuff that happened. I mean, I have a list of like 10 different systemic systems that have taken and trying to take the family away. Exactly. And I believe family is so big and so important. And so today we're going to have some fun. We're going to chop it up, and I'm going to let Derick start out. We have Derick Johnson on today. Lives on the East Coast, which is great. So this is another crazy statistic. I don't know if you know this, but if you look at the United States population, 65% of all the people who live in the United States live in the Eastern time zone.
Oh, wow.
I know. There's 15% that live in Central, or is it 20% live in Central? 15% live on the West Coast. And I'm in the Mountain time zone. Only 5% of the population lives in the Mountain time zone. But I'm in like Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, New Mexico. So we don't expect a lot of people. But to think that many people live on the East Coast, is, okay, well, that means there's a lot of room as you move west and that kind of stuff. But I had no clue that many people, populated in such a low area. But thank you for being there, for living there, wherever you lived. I mean, sometimes we don't get to choose where we grow up, right? But I can't wait to talk to you and just hear what it has been so, I guess I say I'm the luckiest person that gets to do these because I get to learn every single time. And I get to grow and I get to increase my circle of friends and the circle of people that I didn't know. I had an idea of there are some pretty strong, Black men who, are in our country, you know, and obviously there's great fathers and there's great husbands and there's, you know, great community people, and you know, and we think about our athletes all the time, you know, and I was an athlete, and you know, I just put in one out by one of the Super Bowl champions that was part of the Broncos, and you know, I worked with Don Davis, who's like in charge of the partner association, but and then we think I've had NBA players and you know, all, you know, actors and you know, different folks on, but what I realize is it's the people that are in the communities that are making the biggest difference, that are really, you know, making things fly. So, and I didn't know that until I started doing this and just realizing, man after man after man, there's some really good people out there. I mean, we get a bad rap sometimes about the stereotypes and the folks that aren't doing well. And I mean, I've even been able to interview several folks that have been incarcerated and got out of incarcerated and changes their life and that kind of stuff, which has been just fantastic. And so dads with the other things, I don't know if you're a dad yet, but
no, not a father.
Well, that's been another theme, is what it means to be a dad. So
amazing.
Yeah. So go ahead and share your story. We got a little bit of time here. So,
right.
You know, I tell, you know, I've had guests that say, hey, this is what I do. And I take 5 minutes and they're done. And I've had other guests that go 45 minutes. And it's been some really interesting stories. So wherever you land, I think that's what people love the most. So don't like think that, oh, I'm going too long, or, you know, my story, unless your story is really boring. Then,
Gotcha.
then I'll step in and like ask you a question, but I'm sure you're fine. So please tell us who you are, all about you.
Awesome. Well, number one, I appreciate you having me, Dr. B. It's an honor to be here to talk about topics that I truly believe are important and not discussed enough, don't get enough attention. But first off, my name is Derick Johnson. I grew up in Germany as a child. My mother is German. My father is African American. So my father, he was U.S. Army. He's from Starkville, Mississippi. He's a farm boy. Grew up on the farm, hardworking, 6'3". I'm 6 foot, so he always had me on height. No matter how strong I got, he had that country boy handshake, and he would crush your hand. And he's like, "Oh, you bench 225 now. You're 17." And so that was father. And then mother grew up in the city in Nürnberg. Americans would say Nürnberg, Deutschland, Nürnberg, Germany. And she grew up in the city. But an interesting thing about my parents is that they both grew up very poor, and they were the oldest of multiple siblings.
Okay.
So they had to be the parental figure while their mom was working multiple jobs. And they both had a very violent upbringing regarding alcoholism, rage, things like that in their household. And since they were the oldest, they had to be that middle guy, that middle woman, to split the family and take care of everyone while mom was working 2 to 3 jobs. So with that upbringing, they turned themselves from struggling to then getting into a career, and they just went all in on self-improvement, leading other people, starting a family. And so from the outside, everything was beautiful. Beautiful family, beautiful home, living in Germany. And then finally, when I was 11 years old, we moved to the United States. And every European and most military brats, when you move back to the States, you wonder, is it really like it is in the movies? And so I'm that kid watching shows like the cheerleader, the bully, the locker room, the swirlies, the head dumped in the toilet, like all this stuff. Is this real? The cafeteria food, the mystery meat Wednesdays, like, is this real? And so we moved to the United States. We moved to Pensacola, Florida, and come to find out, 2 days into school, I'm getting bullied. I'm getting beat up.
My gosh, really?
I'm the skinny, light-skinned dude, and automatically we're all soft. And like, that's a preconceived notion that people have about us. And so they're like, we don't know what he is, number one. Number two, he's light-skinned. Number three, we've never seen this guy before. And so it was a culture shock, because in Germany, I didn't really deal with bullying at all. And the same thing on military bases. And so I was told to be aware of racism and all that. But the people that actually bullied me the most were our own people.
Our own people, yeah.
Own people. And I was shocked at it, because I never had previous experience of that. And so by the age of 12, I made a decision. I said, you know what? I'm this skinny kid. I'm insecure. I have a stuttering issue. I have bad posture. I don't know who I am. We have a lot of violence at home because generational curses continued. Family was successful, but behind closed doors. Beautiful house, but behind closed doors, the bottles were finished. violence occurred. And then at school, I'm getting beat up. So by the age of 13, I just said, enough is enough. I'm tired of this. I need to change me.
And I'm sure you were speaking German too, or at least had an accent, right?
Yes, so, I was definitely speaking German. So that's
so so I mean, even just having the accent and everything, I'm sure, you know, people are scared of what they don't understand. Exactly. And then they want to lash out at it, especially at those 11 years old, you're just getting ready to start junior high. So this is like the worst time in life where people don't have any identities and know anything. And then you show up in this, for you, it's a foreign country, right? Because you hadn't lived here yet. So,
exactly.
Gosh. All right. Yeah. Keep going. I just wanted to add the language barrier too, I'm sure.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so with that, I always connected with people that were different, because on military bases, not everyone's mixed, but people speak different languages. You're just used to seeing various amounts of people, and that was the norm. And so living in Pensacola, Florida, which some would call it Floribama, nothing against Alabama, but that part of Florida in the Northwest, the mentality is different than Central Florida, Tampa, Orlando, same thing, Miami, completely different. It's like a whole country in itself, the state of Florida. I love Florida, but the panhandle is a little bit different. So going into age 13, I then said, you know what? I need to change my physique. Not to build muscle to beat up the bully, but to feel confident within myself. And I said, you know what, Dad? What can I do in the yard? How can I help you? I need to make money. I need to buy all these books. And I had a series of books. Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodybuilding encyclopedia, Bruce Lee's book, all these different things, Men's Health magazine, like LL Cool J's workout book, like anything you could think of, 50 Cent's 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene, like all this stuff. I just had it lined up. My dad's like, how do you even know this stuff exists? And I was like, I just need all of this, because I was just researching stuff. And next thing you know, I started helping my dad. I worked for it. I bought all those things, and I just went deep into personal development. And speaking about it, it's crazy to think about that I started doing that between 13 and 14.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that to brag, but
that's huge.
Sometimes you have so much trauma, violence, death around you, drugs, alcohol, that you've just seen a lot for your age, that the only option is either option A, continue that cycle, or option B, make it positive change. So I chose option B and said, you know what? I'm not going to continue this cycle. I need to keep flowing and going and to improve myself. And so from there, by the age of 14, I had a complete body transformation, and my friends, my teachers, people in my school and my community, they just were wondering, like, hey man, what did you do? You used to be that skinny kid, insecure. You never raised your hand in class. You were always quiet. You sat in the back. Now you're sitting in the front. You're raising your hand. And then I told people, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go into the personal stuff, but I would tell them that I just got tired of being that past version. I was timid. And from there, I fell in love with the positive reaction I got from people, because they wanted to know, how are you so calm now? How are you so confident? Like, who is this? It's like you have a twin that just came out of nowhere. And so I truly fell in love with teaching people how to get into better shape, how to have a better relationship with food, how to manage stress. And by the age of 15, or excuse me, at the age of 15, I became a certified personal trainer. And now at 35 years old, I've been coaching people for 20 years, and it's just been an amazing journey. It all started as fitness. And then in college, and also while I was in the Army, I was a U.S. Army Master Fitness Trainer. So essentially, I would help soldiers get mission ready. So essentially, that means mentally, physically prepared, emotionally prepared for deployments, coming back from deployments, coming back from divorce, injuries. A common thing that most people don't know about is a lot of military that has had surgeries, there's a big percentage that actually get addicted to painkillers. Yeah. And it's not discussed. And the same thing with alcohol and alcoholism. So I would work with these male and female soldiers to help them with that. So as a teen, it was all fitness, performance, nutrition. Then in the Army, it was more so psychological. And then after my time in the Army, I said, you know what? I need to get deeper into life coaching, because the common pattern that I saw in people was that anybody can follow a training plan. Anybody can follow a meal plan. They just need the accountability, the discipline. But I really took it personal when I would see some clients months or years later on Facebook or in person that lost their progress. And I said, you know what? I didn't give them the mental tools they needed. That's my fault. My younger version would have been like, oh, they're lazy now. But no, the more mature I got, I said, you know what? That's my fault. I didn't teach them how to overcome why they even had a bad relationship with food. Maybe their mom bullied them. Maybe something else happened and which triggered everything else. So with those experiences, it just really inspired me to get deeper into psychology and focus on the mind and body. So now what I do with teaching people a little bit about myself from my backstory, so they don't think like, oh, you're just Black guy that's always been athletic and the Army muscle guy. It's like, no, there's a little bit of backstory as well. But it's just amazing to see in hindsight that when you have the ability to flip pain into fuel and work on your faith and realize that all those things happen for us. And we just see that I truly believe that we're all here for a reason, that there's gift in your pain and there's light in your darkness. And once we're able to help ourselves with faith and with the guidance of others, we can do the same for other people, no matter what industry we're in. Even if it's not somebody's career, we can all make a positive impact. But I just love comeback stories. I'm not saying I have the craziest story, but there's a little bit about that. Just that mixed kid in Germany moving to the United States, getting bullied in school, beat up at home by drunk parents. And then one day I woke up and said, enough is enough. I can't handle this anymore because I'm going to go this dark route. And I chose the light path. And last thing regarding the journey up to that point is that at the age of 16, I remember clear as day that's when my faith got really strong.
Okay.
Up until 16, I would say up until 14, I considered myself in my head an atheist. Why? Because I was the kid. Why do bad things happen to good people? When I go to church, they won't answer my question. They look at me crazy. If this happened to my mom in her past, why is this happening? Why, God? I was just that angry teen, not at people, but I just had an anger at God. I said, why did you allow this to happen to my mom, to my dad? Now this is happening to me and my sister. I don't understand this. And I just had that mentality and nobody was answering my questions in churches or communities. And then by the age of 16, I just woke up and something said, just keep focusing on you and something's going to make sense. And it did. And the best way to describe it is just weight came off the chest. And I said, wow, you were listening, you are listening. And all this happened for me, not to me. I'm here to serve others because of you.
I love it. Well, thank you for sharing. I don't know anybody successful or anybody who's doing what hasn't gone through stuff. I think that's kind of the prerequisite of, getting out of whatever it is that you're doing and being able for it. Like, my prayer every day is, dear Lord, give me the wisdom to do the things you put me on this earth to do in a way that pleases you and serves others. And if I can do that and be in purpose, and when I think of success is being in the purpose that God put you on this planet to do. And when you do that, that's where you get to move forward. And there's so many people who get stuck, and I'm sure the people that you've worked with and you train that they keep going hitting walls and they get stuck because one, they're probably not doing it in purpose. And then and to me, like I said, they're not serving other people in their ability to whatever it is that they're doing. Because I think I just 1,000% believe that's why God put us on this planet, is to serve each other and to be in relationship with each other and to do stuff. And so when we get to talk about your story and you hear the things and the pain and the things that were part of who you were, you found through improving yourself. Well, the other side of that is the associations and the people that you are around, that you associate and you combine yourself with, that make all the difference in the world. And so I can tell you got into some different rooms than everybody else was in. Now, the first room sounds like it was your books and your, the videos and stuff you watched, and the, finding out, okay, if you are good at this and this other person that I'm hanging out with isn't, then I need to probably be around the person who's good at it, or at least hear what that person has to say or what they're doing in order to duplicate that. And then to be able to take that, and then you put yourself in a position where you go, I get to see what people are doing and how they transform. And what's nice about being in the fitness industry is you can see that transformation, at least physically, pretty quickly if they do the things you tell them to do, right? Results happen, in 12, 13, 14 weeks. If somebody, eats the right stuff, starts working out and doing the right
Oh, yeah.
stuff. But when you think about mindset, that doesn't happen in 12 to 13 weeks. I guess it could, but it depends on how deep whatever it is that your habits are and your abilities are, that you've not done the things you need to do to
Oh,
become
yeah.
that person. And so when I want to talk about identity a little bit, because becoming the person that you need to be is all wrapped around who you believe you are or whose you believe you are. You know,
Yeah.
it's wrapped around that in such a big way that it takes people a while to change their identity. And so what for you, you know, you kind of in your story when you're 14 to 16 kind of figured it out, but there was a huge shift in your identity. And I can't imagine that you just did it all by yourself with books. You know, what else shaped your identity, you know, during that time?
Great question. So a huge thing was I legitimately got obsessed learning people's comeback stories. Even if I wasn't really interested in the person, I would just watch YouTube videos. I would read the Bible. I would just watch interviews. I would just absorb all information, movies of comeback stories. And I realized that, hey, the only reason we watch movies, read books, watch shows is honestly because it's stories, number one, but we all can love and respect a good comeback story. Even if we don't like the main character, we can say, wow, he made it through that. Wow, she made it through that. And I would see commonalities in all these people, whether it was a fictional character, whether whether it was a real character, and I would see myself in them a little bit. So perspective one is learning people's comeback stories. Perspective two is I would tell myself challenge accepted. And I would like literally start saying it out loud in my head. So when bad stuff would happen, I would pause, breathe, and say challenge accepted. And I would just in my head act like I was crazy. I don't know where it came from, but something just told me to do that. And the older I got, when I was in college studying psychology, I realized that I was doing shadow work at like 15, 16, and I had no clue what it was. But God just guided me to say, you know what? You need to compartmentalize this. I didn't touch any vices, no drugs, no alcohol, but I needed a way to flip and harness this. So I would say perspective one was learning people's comeback stories. Perspective two, knowing that somebody else also had it worse. So I had both my parents.
Yeah.
No matter the relationship, I have friends and clients who wish that they knew their parents, biological, or wish that they were still alive. So I would think of these things. And that's why I was the kid that, and even to this day, I don't tell people anything about that stressing me unless it's my girlfriend or one of my best friends. That's about it. I don't like to dump on people. I'd rather work on it, talk to God. And so that's always how I've been. I've never complained. And it's just been in my DNA, seeing my parents. I was like, you know what? They've never missed a day of work unless they had to go to the hospital or they were just vomiting. That was the only time I ever saw them miss a day of work. They were the first ones there, the last ones to go. And that was just instilled in us. And I said, you know what? Maybe I didn't get the hugs, the kisses on the forehead, and the I love yous and XYZ from family, but the work ethic, the focus, the organization, professionalism, all that was instilled. And I said, you know what? I have to appreciate this because this helped a lot. Now I need to learn the other part. I don't want to be overly hyper aggressive. I need to learn how to open up to people, listen more, and not just be gung ho alpha and just say, you know what? We all have a masculine, we all have a feminine. I can be quiet and listen and learn from others as well. So definitely the comeback stories, knowing that somebody else has it worse. And third would 100% be faith and realizing that my faith got stronger around like midnight because my parents would fall asleep right before midnight. They would have their last drink, fall asleep, and then I had peace and quietness for about an hour, and then I fell asleep. And in that moment of peace and calmness, I would do push-ups, I'd go for a walk, I would do something physical, and afterwards, I'd be half asleep, sweaty, emotional, and I just felt the Holy Spirit, energy, the universe, whatever somebody believes, I just felt something, someone speaking to me. And the answers just came, and it was overwhelming. First couple of times it happened, I was like, why am I crying for no reason? I never cry. And then I realized it's like, oh, this actually feels pretty good. That was interesting. So I just released something. I'm crying for no reason. And then I just realized that it was just faith. And then it just clicked. And I said, wow, I used to be angry and wonder why he's not listening, but he always was listening. All that happened as it should. So those three things helped a ton. Comeback stories, knowing somebody else has it worse. And most important is strengthening the faith and being able to push your pride and ego out of the way and saying, you know what, I don't know everything, so let me learn from others.
Give me 3 of your favorite comeback stories. I kind of know the era you grew up. My son's 36, so you guys are at the same age. And so what are your 3 favorite comeback stories, that your go-tos, that even to this day you probably go back and go, anything happened? I mean, I have some of those, but I'm way back to like Rocky, the first one, which is the 1970s. But what are your 3?
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that, because my dad and I always used to watch Rocky, and after we watch it, I would go work out and I would just relate to the main character and just push myself. So a huge thing for me was honestly music.
Okay.
Because music was a driving force to not just workouts, but also it would help me to tap out. And I would listen to artists like Eminem, because I related a lot to his upbringing with his mother. Some of my friends are like, your music's kind of dark. And I would never tell them what was happening, but I would just say, I just relate to the story. And I don't have any hate towards mother or anybody, but I just was thinking, man, I feel this. Or if it was R&B, or if it was gospel, I just loved music where the artist was speaking and singing or rapping from the heart. And I would just get chills. And I would say, he gets it, she gets it. And a lot of my friends, they're just listening to the beats and dance and punchlines. And I was like, all right, that's cool. But I love the chills. Even to this day, every morning I work out, I love getting the chills or feel the slight tear coming on because of a song. And it's just an adrenaline rush. And I feel like it gives us life, especially as men. Mm-hmm. We suppress the emotions. Men don't cry, suck it up, especially with Black men. We don't talk about depression. We don't talk about anxiety, stress. Oh, you're weak. Don't be a little B, blah, blah, blah. Oh, back in my day, I had to walk backwards up a hill on my hands to school, and you, blah, blah. And that mentality just wasn't going anywhere for a lot of people that I knew. So I allowed myself to be emotional behind closed doors, and it was just therapeutic. But number one, I would say a lot of artists that I listen to, their comeback story, and realizing that they went through a lot and lived the lyrics that they were discussing. And then from there, people that I knew in my life that had it worse. So an example could be my Oma in Germany, which is grandma in German. Mm-hmm. She survived the Holocaust, and she was hiding in the attic, and somehow they didn't find her. And so to this day, any day of the week or month that I don't feel like doing something, I pause and I say, she was hiding in the attic and didn't have fear. She went through all kind of stuff, even in her upbringing, had violence, and she didn't give up. She went through hell for me to exist. Let me show some gratitude. Let me get up and not be stressed because my alarm went off and I'm tired, or my body hurts, or I'm stressed. And I'm not saying that that's for everyone, but it helped me a lot to know her comeback story. And my challenge for people is to always learn your family generations on each side, no matter what your relationship is with them, or if there's not one at all, because you'd be really surprised. Because at the end of the day, we exist because of them. If we love or hate them, we're still here only because of them. So got to take the bad with the good, but definitely learning family stories. So that's one, my Oma. And then on my father's side, my great-great-grandfather, he passed at 103 years old. Excuse me, my great-grandfather passed at 103 years old in the Star, Mississippi. The day before he passed, he was milking the cows and hauling hay. He was healthy, had his own chickens, had his own vegetables and fruit, and he just passed away in his bed. His fingers were crossed, hands were open on his chest, and he kind of had a smirk on his face. They found him in his room just laying in bed. He had a smirk on his face, and they're like, wow, he made a mental decision, said, God, all right, I'm ready to go home. And so definitely my Oma and my great-grandfather on my dad's side, and just knowing what they went through. And it really makes me grateful in the moments where I am stressed or whatever's going on. We're all human, but also it's just a perspective shift to say, you know what, let me drive on. They went through actual hell. I can handle anything else that's happening. It was way worse back then.
I'm gonna just give you, thank you for sharing that. That's so cool. Give you some comeback movies, and you tell me if it made an impact or didn't make an impact in your life. Start easy, Rocky IV.
Oh yeah, definitely, 100%.
With Drago and Did that make any impact being from Germany, or you still, because we were having this Cold War thing with Russia at the time when all that happened, but just an amazing movie. How about Remember the Titans?
Yeah, Remember the Titans was cool. It
Okay.
it inspired me, but I would definitely put Rocky over it just for what I felt from it.
Miracle.
Miracle, what is the
So
storyline?
Miracle is the United States hockey team when they won the gold medal against Russia. So that might be an older one that you haven't seen. If you haven't seen Miracle, it's a good one, Disney movie.
Okay, yeah, I gotta watch it. I know the story. I think I've seen the 2020 or one of the ESPN breakdowns of it before, but not the actual movie.
So that's a movie you're going to want to, because, it's just, it's obviously it's a true story, but, just the things that they went through and the way that the coach made them work out and, in the middle of the ice, 2 a.m, having to do sprints and go back and forth. Rudy.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. That's classic.
Okay. Hoosiers, yeah, that's older, so you might not have seen Hoosiers. Basketball movie.
Yeah. When I think of Hoosiers, my version of Hoosiers, because I'm 35, it was Coach Carter.
Coach Carter, I was going to say Coach Carter.
Coach Carter was my thing.
Gotcha. Which is, so, the great poem that's in there, Maya Angelou poem, Braveheart. Do you ever see Braveheart?
Yes, 100%.
Okay. Gladiator.
Yes. I got to see the second one. I know the second one just came out a couple weeks ago.
I can't wait to see it. Invincible.
I haven't seen it.
Football movie. I think Philadelphia Eagles or something like that. So yeah, those are some of the Karate Kid.
Oh yeah, 100%. I didn't mention it earlier, but one of the things that also helped me, I would say, number 4, besides the gym, weight training, and learning, was martial arts.
Okay.
Getting into martial arts in middle school, learning how to protect myself, but most importantly, the mental aspect of being calmer.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have kids, but if we decide to have kids, I would definitely recommend that they get into martial arts, more so for the organization, the way to control the mind, and to be calmer. That played such a factor into it. So quick story on that is my sensei, Ron Little, he used to train with Jun Rhee, who was Bruce Lee's #1 protege and his student. So all in the dojo were trophies, pictures of him with Bruce Lee, pictures of him with Jun Rhee. So all the greats, he would just travel the world and was a kickboxer. And he was just calm, laid back, really tall, white gentleman, long hair, just looked like a chill guy. Looked like he was a rock singer, but he could destroy anybody. But his energy was just so calm, and he knew something was up in my teenage years. He never asked a question, never said anything. But what he did, he knew when I was angry. He knew when I was sad. He knew when I was not myself. And he said, hey, today you are teaching the kids class. And in my head, I'm like, no, I want to hit the bag. I need a release. It's like, no, you're going to go teach for an hour and a half, and then you start your thing. And the first couple of times I was like, oh my God, can I just do my thing first? And then the more it happened, it clicked. And I was like, he's teaching me how to harness this energy.
Yeah.
Lead these kids and students and teenagers, teach them self-defense forms, etc. And by the time I train, my training actually skyrocketed because I was teaching before I was doing my thing. And it was just so interesting. So years later, I said, wow, he was teaching me stress management without me even realizing.
Absolutely. And what a great boost for identity in who you are. Yeah. So how many times have you seen Enter the Dragon?
Oh, I've seen it a ton. Oh yeah. People what's the other one? People used to call me Bruce Leroy.
Bruce Leroy. Show enough.
Oh yeah. There's a picture on Facebook I have.
The Last Dragon.
Yeah, the Last Dragon.
Yes.
In high school, I had a picture where I was in my martial arts uniform. The bottoms, the legs, the pants were black and the top was red. And then there's like a picture of me jumping, kicking. And one of my friends edited, and this was right when these apps came out. I'm like 17 years old. He edited a picture of the actor next to me. I was like, and they're like, hey, you need to go to Hollywood. You need to play the next version if they remake the movie. And it was exciting. So out of nowhere, some of my friends would yell down the hall in school, Bruce Leroy.
Oh, I love it. That is so cool. I mean, I love that movie. I was in college when that came out, but it's such a cheesy movie, but it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's good. So when we think about, and I'll jump into to health now, because there's some ideas that you can give, because I don't want to just talk about physical health too, because I mean it's evident that you figured out the formula for making your body do what it's supposed to do. You're probably eating right and that kind of stuff. But the mental health side of it, I think, goes hand in hand. In fact, I know it goes hand in hand. You kind of talked about it a little bit. What can people do that are striving to become the person that they need to be, to make sure that their mind and their physical health is in the right space, and being willing to, like you said, Black men don't want to say anything. They don't want to, talk about these kinds of things. What kind of things can we do to make sure that we're right in both of those areas?
Great question. I always recommend that no matter what level somebody's on their personal development journey, they grab a pen and a notebook and they write out eliminate. So they write the word eliminate up top and they make an eliminate sheet. And what this is just bullet points of asking yourself the question, what is something that I could get rid of that would help me make more progress? What is something that I could get rid of that would help me make more progress? And I always recommend we start with food and what we drink. Maybe for this gentleman or lady, they have too much sugar and they write that down. Sugar, okay? Processed carbs, this and that, Pop-Tart, like whatever their thing is. And then they go to what they drink. You know what? Less sodas, less alcohol, or completely cut the alcohol, whatever they think they need to do. Because a lot of times these things are keeping them from the next level. It's that hindrance or their vice. After the food and drinks, they can go deeper and say, what about mental? You know what? Negative self-talk.
Woo! Yes.
Struggling saying thank you to a genuine compliment. So downplaying myself. That's very common for men. Somebody could say, hey, you look really hydrated today. Your skin looks refreshed. Oh, no, I used to have cystic acne. I took Proactive. I tried Noxzema and Neutrogena. And they go on this rant about how bad their skin was. And the person's like, okay, never giving that person a compliment. But it's a common thing that people have, is just that narrative of putting themselves down psychologically, not on purpose, but they've done it for a while. So point being, starting with food, then go into what they drink, then thought process or self-talk, and then look at their patterns. Maybe somebody writes, you know what? I need to procrastinate less. I need to stop hitting snooze 6 times every morning, pissing myself off and then being stressed, behind, tired, and late to everything. Maybe that's that person's thing that starts their day off on the wrong foot. So it's just honestly that genuine transparency with themselves when they flip themselves inside out. So I would recommend everybody start with that. What is something I could get rid of that will help me make more progress? And I'm not saying that just writing is going to cure everything, but it's the honesty to then read through your list and then pinpoint which is the most important, which actually has the most hold and control over me. Is it food? Is it a drink? Is it an idea? Is it a thought? Maybe it's a person. Sometimes somebody's been friends with somebody for 15 years. We've been friends for a long time, but this is the main person that's causing all of their stress. And maybe they need to fade away. So really being honest with themselves. And what it does, it just ignites their power and their confidence, because they're not ignoring it. They're not running from it. They're not laughing it off. That's another defense mechanism, is that people tend to laugh at what they need to work on. It's a way to overshadow that. But just them being honest, and it's so invigorating, because by the end they'll say, wow, I've never really faced these things. And then it's up to them which one they want to work on first. But it's more so knowing that there's one main thing that is the anchor that is holding them back from that next level, next relationship, raise, promotion, weight loss, whatever their thing is that they're working on. But I would use that as tip number one. Create an eliminate sheet. What is something I could get rid of that will help me make more progress?
Man, I love that. I'm doing a goal setting workshop on the 31st. And the premise of the goal setting workshop, if you focus just on your goals, then you're going to struggle, because it's not about the end results or the outcome. It's about the things that you do during the process to do it, to get there. And so it's a free workshop. Anybody wants to come can come to it. But one of the things I think I will absolutely add is what you just told me right now is an eliminate sheet. Because because this has to be a working workshop. Not I'm going to sit up there and me and an old next NFL player, we're going to do this. But we don't want this to be, hey, I talk to you for 2 hours and then you don't go do nothing. It's like, what are you going to actually put in place? And I love the fact that you have said, no, take this sheet. And even if it's one thing a month that you're getting rid of that can help you progress, then you can get rid of that one thing. And then, 21 days or 31 days, I guess it's 21 days to make a habit, right? After you've done that for that long, see how you progressed. And that's something that's measurable, right? Because so many of us make goals that we really can't measure. We just say, okay, I want to be fit. Okay, what does that mean? I want to be healthy. Okay, what does that mean? And then how do you measure that you are? Well, I feel better than I felt last year. Oh, no, you didn't do anything, right?
Exactly.
So I think I wrote this book. I wrote a book. It's called There Is No Tiger. And it's about overcoming overthinking and controlling anxiety, knowing that true fear, the tiger is the fear, right? If there's a tiger that's coming after you, he can pounce on you, eat you. That's true fear. That's a clear present danger that can happen right now. Whereas the anxiety is, this angst against something that can happen in the future. What are maybe 2 or 3 things that you at one point in your life maybe just spent time overthinking, but have been able to say, I'm not overthinking about that anymore? Because we don't overthink about things that, hey, my girl's going to love me too much and she's going to hug me as soon as I come in and it's just going to be the greatest thing ever. We don't ruminate on that like that's going to happen. Yeah. We think of this negative reel of all these things that could happen. Are there some things that maybe at some point you overthink that you were able to overcome? Or is it just, talk to me about that a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. So definitely in the business journey, transitioning out of the U.S. Army was, I always had that obsession with learning. I always go off of what my mentor says, like, if you're not learning every day, you're slowly dying. Mm-hmm. And I took that and ran with it. And I just got obsessed with learning. But in my early 20s, I like to say I was reading level 17 business books and I was on level 1, level 2.
Gotcha.
So I had all this information that I couldn't even apply because I didn't have the capital. I didn't know this. I didn't have that. I didn't have the team. And I was just, I'm ready. Millionaire by 30. Oh, if I don't do this, I'm a loser. And I just had all this pressure on myself. And I was just, I don't want to say running myself into the ground, but I was wearing myself out physically and psychologically by having these self-made deadlines. And I wouldn't say to anybody, but in my head, I was just, I need to do this, need to do that. And then one day I woke up and said, why am I studying and learning and taking these courses where I'm not even at that level yet? Because technically I'm not even taking action on those things because I first need to get from step 1 to 7. And then I can say, all right, here I am. Now, what do I need to do to scale or wherever I was at that time period? So I would definitely look at the quality of the things that you are learning. So what I tell a lot of my clients and friends is whatever you're studying and learning right now, make sure that it's applicable to solving a problem that you currently have. Because we don't want to be that person that has all this knowledge and is just ready to go on a game show because we can just answer random questions. I mean, that's cool, but are you really going to get on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? 99% of the time, no. So just looking at ourselves to say, am I learning as an endorphin hit to make myself feel like I'm making progress? Or does this actually relate to my goals in life? And just that honesty, rawness can help so much. Because my ego was in the way at 21 to 24, where I was like, oh, I'm learning all this stuff. I'm ahead. I'm smarter than these people. I will outwork everybody. And then I looked at it and I was like, well, I haven't really made that much progress from 21 to 23. What is it? And I said, you know what? I thought I could do it all myself because at one point I felt like I was doing it myself, but I was guided by others. And then I took a step back and said, you know what? Let me learn the basics. Let me go back to the quote unquote jump shot, bounce pass, chest pass. So I went back to the basics of learning in business and it helped so much. And I was just laughing and I thought, wow, I'm literally just doing the forms, which we used to do in Tang Soo Do, Taekwondo, and kickboxing now in business. And I would just correlate to it. I say, you know what? I need to practice my basics or I can't expect to get to the next level as a coach, as a leader. And so definitely challenging people to say, is what I'm learning right now important to what's happening right now in my life? Or am I just learning this for a mental dopamine hit? And I'm not saying that we can't have a hobby to learn new things, but that was a huge thing that was holding me back. It was learning stuff that was at a higher level than I was at. It was a rush, but I couldn't use it.
Yeah, no, and I love where you say solving problems. Learn things that are going to solve your problem right now. Because what I see that translating into, because if you're serving others, right, you're solving other people's problems. You found a problem. I mean, all successful businesses have found a problem that somebody has, and then a way to solve it. Right? If you think of Tesla, he's figured out how to solve a problem of using gas, and then people use it or whatever. So, in that, what are some of the things that you kind of transition to? Because what I see is, especially when I'm coaching and stuff, I see all these people. They get on the internet. There's a million ads. They find the thing that they think they want to do, and then they decide they can go do it. Right? Like Cody, right? Like, hey, just go buy a whole bunch of businesses, and then you're gonna do well, right? So you buy the package. You haven't become the person who has even a clue what it is, and then you get discouraged. But because you're not hitting that level, like, hey, I wasn't able to buy my 7 properties in 1 year like she did. Yes. Well, you weren't the person that she was, when she bought her first laundromat or whatever it is. So I mean, kind of, as you're coaching, you're talking to people, how do you bring it back to the solving that problem instead of staying out there in the stratosphere of, everything is possible? Well, yeah, it is possible, and I want you to hit it, but you got to become that person first.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm a huge component of the morning routine. That could be the athlete in me, that could be the military, but what are you doing in the first hour? I'm not here to tell people when to wake up. Obviously, some work night shift, swing shift, etc. But I recommend they do 2 things and 2 things only.
Okay.
1 thing for the body, move the body first, and then 1 thing for the mind. Anything that you do mentally after you move the body is going to be that much more effective. And it's funny because it sounds so simplistic and straightforward, but nowadays with information overload, and I love social media, but a lot of people feel that they need a 15-step morning routine. Joe Rogan says ice bath. This guy says I need to get in a sauna. This guy says I need to drink 5 glasses of water. Now I need these 6 supplements. Now I need to do this. If I don't get in the cold shower, then I'm a soft alpha and I'm a soft beta male. And it's like all this stuff. And they're just like, and then I look at them and say, what time did you wake up and did you hit your snooze button? I'm like, yeah, I hit snooze. I say, okay, just wake up at the exact same time every day. You can choose, go for a walk, yoga, Pilates, like whatever their thing is. And then afterwards, something mental. Some, they like journaling. Some want to do prayer, meditation, visualization. But I recommend doing 2 things because the whole point is just building that momentum, that confidence, and earning a focused mind. Because we're all human. Yeah. Sometimes we wake up sad for no reason, pissed off for no reason, depressed for no reason, had a nightmare, sleep paralysis, waking up, can't scream. And you're like, what is happening? But no matter how we woke up, even if we woke up happy, we just have to get in control. And then within that first hour to hour and a half, be ready to start the day because we took care of us first. So I like the basic example of flying as a passenger in an airplane. Before you can help me or the kids or the old lady, you have to don your own oxygen mask on first and take care of others. So going back to the basics where many people wake up, they instantly start working or they instantly take care of everyone else. Understandable if they have babies and puppies. That's a little bit different, but as a whole,
right?
Exactly. You can't be like, hey, give me 30 minutes and I'll come back and give you your.
Oh my gosh. I love, I mean, just what you're saying just makes so much sense. As I get up every morning and I go on a 3-mile walk. And then today I was just telling, it's funny you said it, today, I'm in Colorado, so it's not like Florida. So it's cold. So it's 14, 15 degrees outside today. But I'm like, so this is my cold plunge. I'm just walking, but at the same time, I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to, every single day I find, sometimes I'm listening to the Bible. Sometimes I'm listening to, a podcast. Sometimes I'm listening to a book. I find a way to do both of the things that you've said to do the first thing that I get up. I'm not trying to do a million things. I'm just trying to get up, go for a walk, move my body. As I get older, it goes way slower, so it takes me a long time to walk. But that's an hour of my day that I'm doing that I can't get back that time. And so if I can spend that time doing something that's going to move the needle, and then I can come back and get to work. I don't try, I purposely make sure that my phone doesn't show me any email before I'm done with all that. Right. I don't need to react to stuff, right? I got to be proactive when I first get up in the morning. And I love how you said it, because there's so many, like you said, you go online and you got a million things to do in the morning before you got 5 hours worth of work. It's like the old Army commercial, right? That you probably are familiar with. Like, I did more before 5 a.m. than anybody that. Yeah. But then how are you progressing and how are you getting better? Because then you don't go back and you don't track it, you don't measure it. You just find you do all these things, and the amount of money that people spend on personal development, which I think there has to be a portion of your budget that is personal development. Yes. But it's not just throw a whole bunch of mud at the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. So I love that fact to just start out with, the little things that you're doing. Let's talk just, as I'm thinking about my 5 pillars and trust and leading with trust and being able to trust people. The reason that Journey to Freedom exists is because our community doesn't have a lot of trust. It doesn't have, I went to it was a personal development thing. A guy named David Horsiger talked about, has this whole program on leading with trust and being able to trust people. And I go there and there's like 30 people of color that are in the room, 400, 500 people in the room. And I go, I need to bring this to our community. But how do you just learn to trust people? Are you I'm going to trust you till you prove me wrong? Or I'm going to come in cautiously? How big a deal is trust in your life?
Great question. I like to look at trust as starting with ourselves. So I always like this, give people the perspective of people expect things from others too much. So I ask them, what did you do for yourself today? You expect your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, manager, coworker, classmate, teammate, whoever to do, they didn't do their part of the project. They didn't do this. They didn't do this. Like, okay, what have you done for yourself and for others? And so I'm not trying to diss the younger generation, but the entitlement of the entitlement of a lot of people is very high. It's higher than ever, where they just need a good positive role model, whether that's male or female, to say, you know what, let's focus on ourselves first. Let's lead by example. And then the team has better morale rather than he should do this and she should do that for me. And it's a very selfish mentality that a lot of society has. And that's where a lot of their stress is coming from. But they're honestly, if you break it down to the core, they're annoyed with themselves. He woke up late. He didn't hydrate. So he's dehydrated. He drank coffee. Now his heart rate is up and he's still dehydrated. He's loopy and he has to run to the bathroom before the meeting. And he comes into the meeting late and like, what's going on? Now he's all aggressive and he's not a negative person, but he woke up late, had coffee, dehydrated, and he was blowing up the bathroom. And these are real things that people deal with. And I love bringing these things up because usually people are like, wow, that was me last Wednesday. And it's just because we all relate in some way. So are we taking care of ourselves first? Yeah. Or are we subconsciously annoyed at ourselves because of something that we haven't done and been neglecting? So starting with us first. And when we're excited, when you went on your 2 mile to 3 mile walk, listen to the podcast, the Bible, etc. Once you talk to your clients, your team, you start working, you're excited. And they're like, how are you so positive? It's 8, 9 a.m. And you're like, oh, well, I took care of me. So now everything's kind of easy.
Yeah. Absolutely. Cool. What haven't we, as we kind of wind down, what haven't we talked about that you really wanted to make sure we shared with the audiences that are going to watch this?
I would definitely just recommend that everybody be honest with themselves. And number one, write out what is something that you could eliminate that will help you make more progress. And number two is give yourself some grace, especially the men and especially Black men. Give yourself grace, meaning maybe you did have a life that was way harder than mine and Dr. B's. And you're like, oh, these guys don't understand. They're light skinned or he's only half or whatever the mentality is. Like, let's relax. We're all here to work together and to build each other up. But what is your gift in the pain? What is the light from the darkness? So 4 quick questions is, what are you naturally good at? What are you naturally good at? Question 2 is, what have people naturally came to you for? What if people naturally came to you for? So an example is, maybe he was that guy that always had good fashion and everybody came to him for fashion tips or skincare or hair or workout mindset tips, or how are you so good at drawing? So what are you naturally good at? What do people naturally come to you for with a certain question? Number 3, how can you solve people's problems? How can you solve people's problems? And number 4, how can you connect 1 through 3? When people, especially men, can write this down, they tend to get so much clarity and they say, wow, I've always been good at this naturally. Cool. What do people come to you for? Okay. Third one, how can you solve people's problems, and see how those 3 can connect? It doesn't mean everybody has to start a business, but maybe they say, oh, wow, I'm in the wrong industry. I need to go over here because naturally that's just who I am. But point being is, they have clarity, they have proof. And as you mentioned earlier, they're not just throwing something on the wall, hoping it sticks, and they can just be excited. Because I like to use the saying of, get your power back. We've given up our power to people, to traumas, to the government, to celebrities, to distractions, to the media, to all these different things. We need to look within again. Stop looking outwardly, look within. Or option 2, look up and look within. The answer is going to come to you. Like, we've looked at enough shows and podcasts and did all the stuff. Like, a lot of men, we already know what to do. We just need to look within and say, you know what? I don't need his validation or her validation. I need to just show up and take action. So being honest with yourself with those 4 questions, seeing what you can eliminate, and big picture, just becoming that person that you would be proud of. Are you proud of the man that you are? And the ladies, are they proud of the woman, the mother, whatever they are? Are you proud of that person? If not, give yourself grace. Your time's not up.
That's so good. For those of you who are watching that have been, some of the comments and some of the things I get is, well, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know why God put me on this planet. Well, Derick just gave you a quick school lesson on how to find your purpose. He talked about what are you good at, right? God's not going to have you be in your purpose that's something that you're not good at. What do people come to you for? They're already naturally doing that, so that's probably what you're good at, right? How can you solve other people's problems? Well, if you're serving others and it's something that you're good at, and it's something that people come to you for, hey, and then you put all 3 of them together, you are now in your purpose. I hope that you can, take some time and write that stuff down. Oh man, Derick, this has been a pleasure. It is, the insights that you have and the things that you have been able to express today and articulate in a way that I think it's going to move the needle for others. How can people get a hold of you, or find out some of the things that you do, websites or whatever? Please let everybody know that, because I want people to connect with you.
For sure. So on social media, it is Fit with Derick, Derick. The only right way to spell Derick. Also the number 2 at the end, Fit with Derick 2. And then my coaching website is fitwithderick.com. I'm very transparent. So I say real people, real results. I have a plethora of transformations for body. And then testimonial videos are people sharing their experiences, traumas they overcame, setbacks they pushed through, things of that nature. And that's what I'm most proud of them, and just love showing people's journey, that you can see the light back in their eye. I just have the tools. I'm nobody special. I just have the tools, and I give people the support. But if somebody resonates with you, resonates with myself, that's amazing. But seeing that light back in somebody's eye is my favorite thing. Where it's holiday season right now as we're recording this. So when I look on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, any app, and I see a friend or client, and I see a genuine smile, smiling with their eyes, and I say, damn, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of her. Because months or years ago, you were like, yeah, that's not a real smile, because we've been there. We've seen those things. So they can find me at fitwithderick.com or fitwithderick2, the number 2 at the end, on social media. And my whole intent with social media is to plant seeds. If somebody's hitting snooze every day, my video is going to rub them the wrong way, but it's going to make them to stop hitting snooze. But that's the whole intent. I don't want to see anybody wasting potential. Life is short. Let's make it amazing.
Thank you. I love it. I love the only way to really spell your name. I was a coach, right? I spell Brian with the I, not with the Y. I don't have a choice, right? That's why my mom did it. And I'm like, well, that's the right way to spell it. And then one of the athletes that I coached ended up being a gold medalist in, the decathlon. And he spelled his name B-R-Y. And I'm like, I guess I can't tell you what the right name is, the right way to do it. And so you've heard some incredible stuff. Please contact him. We're going to be doing a goal setting workshop on the 31st of this month if you're hearing this before the end of 2024, but I'll do it again before the end of 2025. So just, hit the subscribe button. Don't hit snooze, hit the bell on it. As we do notifications, we do live things, as we make sure that we're putting content out there that can help you become the person that you need to be in order to do why God put you on this planet. And so Derick has helped us fulfill that. I hope we can talk to you again as we move forward. We can put some stuff together. Maybe we can even do some videos together or something. So I would love to continue to work with you guys. Thank you for just another incredible show. And we'll look forward to talking to you next one. Just to let you know, you are God's greatest gift. You are God's greatest gift, and he loves you if you allow him to. And we'll talk to you on the next one. Have a